Imagine being Sadiq Khan, thinking you have got London politics sewn up as the incumbent mayor with all the advantages of name recognition and the Labour machine behind you, and then Nigel Farage announces that he intends to unseat you in the next mayoral race while simultaneously targeting 6 London councils in next year's local elections and claiming he is going to trigger a political earthquake in the capital. Farage, taking aim at what he called Khan's terrible record on crime, told the Daily Mail that everything has changed since the general election and that Reform UK has a very real chance of winning in several boroughs across London. This is the same London that has been viewed as a Labour stronghold for years, that voted overwhelmingly to remain in the Brexit referendum, and where fair-eyed successive parties have historically failed to make meaningful gains. But polling suggests the Labour vote in the capital is splitting dramatically, with central London voters peeling off to Zack Polanski's surging Green Party and other left-wing groups, while outer London areas are becoming increasingly receptive to Reform's law and order message. Farage is planning to adopt the broken window strategy used by Rudy Giuliani in 1990s New York, promising zero tolerance for minor offences like shoplifting and phone theft, and claiming that crime is everywhere in London while Sadiq's record is one of almost not caring about it. This is not just another politician taking potshots at the mayor. This is a genuine attempt to reshape London politics. Quick favor. If you are absolutely fascinated by Nigel Farage declaring war on Sadiq Khan and planning to turn London from a Labour stronghold into Reform territory, hit that subscribe button right now. Over 94% of you watching have not subscribed yet. It is completely free, takes literally 2 seconds, and helps us keep bringing you these moments where British politics gets turned upside down. Cheers if you did. Now back to Farage's audacious plan to conquer London. Let us start with a basic political reality that makes Farage's ambition seem either brilliantly opportunistic or completely delusional depending on your perspective. For years, successive parties led by Farage, from UKIP to the Brexit Party to Reform UK, have failed to make meaningful gains in London. The capital has long been Labour territory, particularly in inner London where progressive social values, multiculturalism, and pro-European sentiment dominate. London voted overwhelmingly to remain in the Brexit referendum, which was Farage's signature issue, so you would think this is the worst possible terrain for him to try to make gains. But Farage is arguing that the political landscape has fundamentally shifted since the general election, and the evidence suggests he might actually be right. Speaking to the Daily Mail, Farage said he believed Reform has a very real chance of winning in several boroughs across London. The party will be targeting the Conservative-held boroughs of Bromley and Bexley, as well as the independently held Havering Council and Labour-held Barking and Dagenham. This is a clever strategic mix that shows Reform is not just going after one type of seat, but is identifying vulnerable councils across different political backgrounds. Bromley and Bexley are outer London boroughs that have traditionally been conservative but where the Tory brand is now so toxic that they are potentially up for grabs. Havering being independently held suggests existing political instability that Reform could exploit. And Barking and Dagenham being Labour-held but targeted by Reform shows that Farage genuinely believes he can win in traditional Labour territory, which would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. The news comes ahead of a planned launch of Reform's London campaign in January, which shows this is not just idle speculation but a coordinated political operation with resources and planning behind it. Polling suggests the Labour vote in London is splitting dramatically, with central London moving to Zack Polanski's Green Party and other left-wing groups. Labour are going to find their vote horrendously split, Farage told the Daily Mail, with the Greens and Corbyn and the Gaza Independents, all these different people, there's a chance that Labour vote really gets hit. This analysis is spot on because it identifies a key vulnerability for Labour in London. They are being squeezed from the left by the Greens and Gaza-focused independents in areas like Islington and Hackney, while simultaneously being challenged from the right by Reform in outer London boroughs. Zack Polanski, who became leader of the Green Party earlier this year, has more than doubled the party's membership, which is an extraordinary achievement in such a short time and suggests genuine momentum behind the Green movement. On social media, Polanski has frequently criticized both Labour and Reform, positioning the Greens as a true progressive alternative. But Farage claimed that the rise of the Green Party meant that Starmer faced immense problems in May because every vote that goes to the Greens in inner London is a vote Labour does not get, potentially allowing Reform to win seats in outer London where they are competitive. Likening the elections to the U.S. midterms, where the House of Representatives faces an all-out election in the middle of a presidential term, Farage said Reform was going for gold. That analogy is politically astute because midterm elections in America typically see the party controlling the White House lose seats as voters express dissatisfaction with the incumbent administration. If British voters treat the May local elections as a referendum on Starmer's government, Labour could face catastrophic losses, and Reform could be the primary beneficiary in many areas. Farage attacked both the Conservative Party and Labour's record on crime across London, saying the city was in big trouble. 4 bigs. That is emphatic language suggesting genuine alarm rather than just political point scoring. Law and order is at the heart of Reform's campaign, Farage said, which makes strategic sense because crime is one of the issues where voters genuinely feel Labour and the Conservatives have both failed. Crime is everywhere, and Sadiq's record is one of almost not caring about it, Farage claimed, which is devastating political messaging because it combines an empirical claim about crime rates with a character assassination suggesting Khan is indifferent to Londoners' suffering. Farage also pointed out that 87% of police stations in London close under Conservatives, which is a clever rhetorical move because it prevents critics from claiming this is just partisan anti-Labour messaging. Farage is holding both major parties responsible for the deterioration in law and order, positioning Reform as the only party serious about addressing the problem. He said he did not know anybody in London who had not been a victim of crime, which is obvious hyperbole but effective political communication, because it taps into genuine anxiety about crime even if the literal claim is not true. The specific example about police being just not interested in responding to mobile phone thefts is politically powerful, because phone theft is something that affects huge numbers of Londoners and creates real fear and inconvenience. Farage claimed he had a relative whose phone was stolen, and despite having a tracker on the device, the police did nothing when it was reported. That story, whether entirely accurate or slightly embellished, resonates with people's experiences of feeling that the police do not take certain crimes seriously and that criminals can operate with impunity. Farage's intention to adopt the broken window strategy used by Rudy Giuliani in 1990s New York is both politically smart and potentially controversial. The theory behind broken windows policing is that by cracking down on minor offences like graffiti, turnstile jumping, and petty vandalism, you create an environment where more serious crime also decreases because potential criminals see that lawlessness is not tolerated. Giuliani famously implemented this approach in New York, and crime did fall dramatically during his tenure, though critics argue other factors like economic growth and demographic changes also played significant roles. The Daily Mail described Giuliani's approach as zero tolerance to minor offences, which captures both the appeal and the concern. Voters who are tired of seeing shoplifting, vandalism, and antisocial behavior go unpunished will love the idea of zero tolerance. Critics will worry about disproportionate targeting of marginalized communities and the criminalization of poverty. But Farage is clearly betting that more Londoners are in the first camp than the second. Farage said Reform would introduce radical change to how offences like shoplifting and mobile phone theft are handled, claiming you can now shoplift with impunity and insisting that every single shoplifting case should be prosecuted, every single one. The statistics support his claim about impunity. In 2025, there were more than 530,000 cases of shoplifting reported in the year to March, but only 18% of cases led to someone being charged. The British Retail Consortium believe there have been over 20 million cases across the country, which suggests the reported figure massively understates the actual scale of the problem because most shoplifting goes unreported. Farage said he admired Giuliani and that during his time working in the U.S., he saw the most dangerous city in America become the safest city in America, adding that Reform wants to model itself on that transformation. It is bold political rhetoric that promises dramatic results rather than incremental improvements. Whether Reform could actually deliver Giuliani-style crime reductions is highly questionable given that they would be controlling councils rather than police forces, but the promise is politically attractive. A spokesman for the Mayor of London rejected Farage's claims, pointing out there have been 22,000 fewer offences across the capital in the last year. The spokesman said there are politicians who denigrate London and talk our great city down, but the facts show a different picture, with burglary, personal robbery, theft, vehicle crime, violence with injury, and gun crime all falling. These are fair points and suggest Khan does have a defensible record on crime. But the problem for Khan is that perception matters as much as reality in politics, and many Londoners feel less safe regardless of what the statistics say. The spokesman acknowledged there is still more to do and said the mayor will continue working with businesses, communities, and police to deliver a safer London. That acknowledgement is politically necessary, but also gives Farage an opening to argue that after years of Khan's leadership, there is still more to do because his approach has not worked. Reform has seen several successes in by-elections across the country, and opinion polling suggests the party is set to make considerable gains in May. Labour is predicted to lose control of Wales, and Reform is now polling in second place in Scotland. There is a genuine collapse in the Labour vote across the country, Farage told the Daily Mail, and the evidence increasingly supports that claim. Local elections are due in May 2026, with the next mayoral election not scheduled until 2028. That 2-year gap between the council elections and the mayoral race is significant because if Reform does well in May 2026, it builds momentum and credibility for a serious mayoral challenge in 2028.